How old are you?
20.
She's a 17-year-old girl. I just called the cops on you because this is illegal. She's a minor.
We're protected by the Romeo and Juliet laws.
We dated for a little while. I was a sophomore and he was a senior. It's fine.
No, it's not fine.
We've got a pre-existing juvenile foundational relationship. Statute 2705-3.
What? Texas statute?
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Good morning or good evening. This is the Don Geo here. And yes, let's talk about Transformers. Most fans such as myself knows what this is. Most normies would go, oh, it's the big blockbuster movies with the giant robots and Shia LaBeouf. Most young teens going, oh yeah, that has that super hot model Megan Fox.
Whoa! Check out the chassis on that one, huh?
And those tight little tailpipe.
Stupid.
The only babe in here is Haley Steinfeld, okay? Go watch Bumblebee. So, Transformers started back in 1984 as a toy line, then started off with the very first animated show, which preferably known as G1. While I didn't grow up with G1 like my old man did, I did end up watching it in 2007, and it definitely has its own charms.
Amazing. A booby trap that actually catches boobies.
Also, the fact that Peter Cullen is still voicing Optimus Prime to this very day is absolute legend. Where my love for Transformers started was Beast Wars, a Canadian animated show. And yes, the animation does look a bit jank, but holy crap, man. The soundtrack, the voice acting, the writing as well was really superb. Definitely a bit edgy at times, and the fact that they got away with so much violence and also made up their own sort of way of Transformers swearing every few lines, it's unreal. They do have their goofy moments though, especially one episode that I definitely did not like. That was a bit too much goofy for my liking. But ever since I was a kid, it was definitely one of the franchises I would always follow and loved as much as Star Wars, Spider-Man, DC Comics, and etc. When the live-action movie was announced, I was really excited. I saw the advertisement. I just could not wait for this movie to come out. And of course, I ended up loving the movie. But then, of course, like everyone else, how they felt, a sequel comes up 5 more times, and unfortunately, it ended up becoming the same movie. So what happens when you get someone like Michael Bay who probably throw away the scripts and just go, nah man, we just want more explosions, we want more racist robots, we want more cake, give me that camera, I'll film that ass shot myself. So yeah, after one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life, it looked like the franchise was grim until a little movie called Bumblebee was released. We had that sick opening sequence with all the characters looking like G1. So all the G1 purists were bloody combing their pants and everything. But overall, the movie was great. I do believe Charlie and Bumblebee's relationship was so much better than Sam's. Just the fact that he just doesn't shut up and just screams,
Bumblebee! Bumblebee! Whoa! Whoa! To the vehicle! You move this head! Wow! That alien's in the vehicle!
2 things, okay? Shut up.
Unfortunately, the most annoying thing that us fans had to deal with was the fact that a lot of the producers, especially Lorenzo di Bonaventura, just denies the fact that Bumblebee is a reboot, and he kept going on with this with Rise of the Beast, which just released this year around June. For normies out there, Bumblebee was basically a reboot because it started off way differently on how the first one started. Then Rise of the Beast continues that, being a sequel solely on Bumblebee, taking place 7 years in 1994, whereas Bumblebee took place in 1987, even though none of the Autobots shows up until 2007 in the Bayverse films. By the way, Bayverse is what we refer the first 5 Transformers directed by Michael Bay. And yet the producers have the cojones to say, no, it's a prequel to the 2007 movie, even though Optimus is already at Earth in the 90s, but in the original film, he arrives in 2007. It's like as if these guys don't even watch their own stuff. Ain't that right, Marvel? But once Rise of the Beast finally came out, all of us fans get to watch it, and it was definitely made by a fan for the fans. The movie was directed by Stephen Caple Jr., and all he could talk about was Optimus Prime getting an arc, or the Transformers lore that he talked about in different interviews, and how the Transformers are getting a lot more screen time than most the other movies that they have been featured in, and also Brooklyn being a big thing since the main human character says Brooklyn a lot, how he's proud to be from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, baby!
Overall, I really loved the movie. I think it's as good as Bumblebee in its own way. I really wish they get away from the MacGuffin chase thing. That's a big flaw on the movie. The villains are great. I'm glad we were stepping away from the human villain stuff later in the movies. Also, Elena was kind of annoying. She ended up becoming that character that knows everything, that has an answer towards everything, and it's becoming a modern movie trend, which is really annoying. I feel like at least give to Wheeljack to have the bot with the answers, which unfortunately the whole human being the main focus in the movies is still present. I feel not as much, just because Optimus feels as much as a main character as Noah. Let me tell you this, what was Optimus's arc in the first 5 movies? That's what I thought. So the movie would just make up excuses on why the Transformers can't be involved in certain situations because they're too big. So the humans are small enough to get into buildings, caves, to get what they're looking for. While you got a really small Autobot named RC, who's basically maybe 10 feet tall. I think it would have been interesting to have RC involved with Noah and Elena's adventures in small spaces. That way we get some really cool exposition of her talking about her Cybertronian culture, what was Cybertron like, or discuss stuff about the war. Just put Liza in the mocap suit and just have her do the same way that Alan Tudyk did in Rogue One. And keeping that transit scene would benefit Optimus Prime's storyline, instead of Mirage telling the audience how Optimus feels when you got a perfectly good deleted scene that shows us how he feels. Anyways, The Rise of the Beast bombed. It is the worst performing Transformers movie ever, and that makes me sad. That pretty good Transformers movie did not perform well. It showed how much damage Michael Bay caused the brand. After The Last Night, people were done. And let's not forget the lack of video games that we have for the franchise as well. The War for Cybertron games were pretty much one of the best third-person shooters I've ever played. It tells the story of course, the war for Cybertron, before the Autobots and Decepticons landed on Earth. Why am I mentioning this? Well, in 2024, it's going to be the 40th anniversary of the Transformers brand, and we got a new movie and a new game coming up. So yeah, happy days if they're successful. Let's start off with Reactivate. Transformers Reactivate is going to be a 4-player co-op game where you play as both Decepticons and Autobots, and you team up to fight an alien threat that has pretty much taken over the Earth, and only pockets of resistance are fighting back. This game was announced almost a year ago at the Game Awards, so I'm expecting some more information coming out in this year's Game Awards in a couple weeks. Most of the information we got were mostly leaks by fans, and it sounds pretty interesting. Definitely gives off the War for Cybertron games vibes. And now we got toys announced, and we've seen screenshots of the game. Definitely leaning towards that War for Cybertron aesthetic and gameplay as well. I heard it's a third-person shooter, not a first-person, which thank God. And I love the tone it's going for. Very dark, very gritty. Reminds me of Terminator. That's why everyone was shocked to see that it was an actual teaser for a Transformers game. People thought it was something else like Titanfall. I'm not exactly sure if it's live service. I'm believing that it is. If so, then I hope it has a strong launch and that there's excitement and life towards this game, because we haven't had a good Transformers game in a long time, and I don't want it to come out as a buggy mess that you can't connect servers or anything like that, or bare bones content. Start strong and hopefully you have some goodies saved up for future updates as well, just so the game can have good longevity. Can't say much until I see gameplay. Alright, Transformers 1. No, it's not a joke, it's actually called Transformers 1, a prequel taking place during the golden age of Cybertron. This movie is being directed by the same guy that did Toy Story, Inside Out, and Up, and we all know how those movies are like. And apparently the voice actors have described the movie having a unique style. The animation's being done by the same visual effects team that did the live action Michael Bay films. So yes, it's fully animated, and Optimus Prime is being voiced by Chris Hemsworth, the god of thunder himself.
I like it.
I know, it's great, right?
Another!
I'm theorizing he's voicing Orion Pax. For those of you that don't know, Orion Pax is the bot that will eventually become Optimus Prime. In most recent continuities, he's normally a clerk, which is a librarian, and he ends up becoming friends with Megatron, who is a gladiator in the fighting pits.
Not bad for a librarian. Perhaps you should have spent more time in the pit. And perhaps you should have spent more time in the library.
They both understand that not everything in Cybertron is great, and so Orion wants to help Megatron with his cause of bringing equality to the Decepticons and Autobots, but unfortunately, Megatron just gets obsessed with power. Because of this, Orion can't help him anymore, and so Megatron sees him as a traitor, and then they become pretty much mortal enemies since. That's just the rough version I explain. There's a lot of books and comics explaining this in detail, and animated shows as well, while also demonstrating the different outcomes of Cybertron, whether it ends up becoming a barren wasteland or the Decepticons took over the planet. It really varies when it comes to different timelines and universes. But I hope these guys really look into the lore, and they already said that the focus is Optimus and Megatron's relationship as friends before they end up becoming enemies, which I'm really excited. I can't wait to see that on the big screen. But I'm mostly excited to see that the majority of people will get to witness what Cybertron was like before the war, because most of these movies all took place on Earth, and the focus was never on the bots. It was always about the humans, all this human drama, and also this.
Hold on. What is that?
But finally, a Transformers movie with no humans, and it's animated as well. I'm pretty sure this movie will get the attention from G1 purists, because even though I have standards as a fan myself, G1 fans, it's either G1 or nothing to them, which I feel is pretty extreme, but you know, every fan has their standards. I prefer a really good story and a bit of character complexity. G1 was really not that deep. It was definitely cool and flashy, but probably the most interesting part was seeing Orion's origin in that one episode where those bots went back in time and he has a girlfriend. Yes, Optimus Prime has a girlfriend named Ariel, later on called Elita 1. Unfortunately, we only get concept art of what the movie's going to look like. We haven't got a teaser, no poster, no nothing. But we still got a while to go. All I can say is I really hope this movie does good, and that teaser trailer will get the attention of everyone. I feel like this is Transformers' last chance to be an IP that people are still interested in checking out. It really all determines in the box office. But this movie's already going to be different. It's animation only. People will get to see a different side of the Transformers world. And also you got celebrity actors voicing Transformers now. But again, my theory is that Chris Hemsworth is voicing Orion Pax, and then once he becomes Optimus Prime, then we will get the legend himself, Peter Cullen, to voice him.
He is not alone.
I'm not gonna shit on Chris Hemsworth until we see footage of his voice performance as Optimus or Orion, but I don't think it's gonna be as bad as Chris Pratt's Garfield.
I apologize in advance. The eating you're about to see will not be pretty.
I'm always an animation guy first, so I'm definitely excited for this movie, and I hope it does look unique. Before Spider-Verse A lot of animated movies tried so hard to look realistic, so I'm glad Spider-Verse, it was that movie that inspired so many to just try something different. And here's to Transformers 1, hopefully doing the same thing and thinking outside of the box and give us a good story and also entertain all of us. I'm pretty much done. I just mainly wanted to talk about Transformers because I just love the franchise so much, and it's basically a big summary of my thoughts of the franchise as a whole. But I do want to make a solo video about Earthspark, but we'll see, because I'm already working on a different type of video discussing about, well, the Etc. franchise I mentioned earlier.
Blink, 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 blinkety, blink, blink, blink.
That's really suspicious.
But yeah, crossing my fingers for 2024 for Transformers. I wish you ladies and gentlemen a good day or a good night. Have a good one.